dive. Today, we're tackling something pretty tough, maybe an ugly truth for many of us. That moment your internal world just collapses right when you're standing in public.
Yeah, it's incredibly stressful. And not just the feeling itself, but having people watch.
Exactly, the pressure of external observation. We've done a deep dive into sources like coping with public meltdowns and stares, and we specifically zeroed in on some really powerful practical stuff from their episode 6. Our mission today, give you a kind of roadmap for navigating these moments. It's about being prepared, having the tools ready for that internal chaos.
And crucially, it's also about perception, building a defense against that external judgment.
Right.
And that mix, the internal readiness and that psychological defense, that's really key here. These sources, they give us more than just theory.
Yeah, practical steps.
Actionable strategies, definitely. And maybe most important, a powerful mantra. Something designed to help you grab back control when you feel totally exposed. We really want you walking away from this deep dive feeling, well, not just informed, but actually equipped.
Equipped, I like that. Okay, let's unpack this then, because to really get it, we need to start somewhere relatable. The sources use this very specific image, it's quite visceral actually, the Walmart aisle meltdown scenario.
Why? We can all picture that. Bright lights, people everywhere.
Exactly. And it's not just about feeling sad or angry, it's that emotional dysregulation hitting you in a super visible, crowded place.
You feel overwhelmed, rational thought gone.
Completely gone.
Right.
And you just know with this awful certainty that everyone around you is watching, judging.
And even if it's not a full meltdown, most people have felt that flash of public panic, right?
Yeah.
Losing your keys, dropping something valuable when the place is packed.
Oh yeah, that instant wave of shame, it's universal.
It is. And that universality helps us understand the core challenge. What the source material really highlights is how the environment itself makes the meltdown worse.
How so?
Well, think about it. It's this fundamental conflict. Your brain is screaming for isolation, for safety, so you can start to regulate, slow your breathing, deal with the adrenaline.
But instead,
you've got maximum visibility, maximum external pressure. The crowd actually becomes another stressor.
so you're fighting on two fronts.
Precisely. Instead of focusing inward to calm down, maybe half your mental energy is scrambling to manage the perceived threat of everyone watching you.
Yeah.
It's almost an impossible situation.
Okay.
Recognizing that simultaneous need for internal calm and external defense, that's really the first step towards coping effectively.
Right. So given that impossible scenario, the sources quickly move to the practical stuff, the toolkit, immediate steps for when you're already in that spiral.
Yeah, there's a survival mode, not prevention.
Exactly. And the first technique, the most foundational one, is grounding yourself. And this isn't just vague advice. It means actively pulling your mind back into the present, using your senses to interrupt that emotional flood.
Getting out of your head and into your body.
Yeah. For an informed audience like ours, the sources suggest having a plan ready, like the classic 5-4-3-2-1 method, sort of pre-programmed.
Right.
So in the moment, you force yourself. Okay, name 5 things I can see, 4 things I can touch, 3 I can hear, 2 I can smell, 1 I can taste.
And that specificity is vital. Distress feels huge and abstract, but your senses, they're concrete, they anchor you.
Right.
Which leads straight into the second powerful tool the sources talk about, having a prepared calm kit.
A calm kit. Tell us more about that.
It's basically a preloaded tactical resource, something you've put together beforehand, specifically to help interrupt that cycle of distress.
What might be in it?
It could be highly specific sensory tools.
Yeah.
Maybe like a small vial of intensely scented oil that forces your brain to register smell over the panic.
Oh, interesting.
Or a small piece of rough fabric to rub between your fingers. Even a small, heavy object to just hold and feel its weight.
So it's about front-loading the solution.
Exactly. You don't have to invent a coping mechanism when your brain's already offline. You just execute the plan. You reach for the kit.
Okay, I understand the theory, and that front-loading sounds brilliant, but let's push on this practically for a second. When that meltdown hits, isn't there just this overwhelming urge, the shame and panic that makes you want to flee or hide or just kind of collapse rather than thinking, oh, let me pull out my sensory tool?
That's a really fair challenge.
Especially when you feel those eyes on you. How do the sources address that impulse?
Right. And they do acknowledge the shame is absolutely real.
Yeah.
But the preparation, the kit itself, serves a psychological purpose that goes beyond just the physical object.
Okay.
Having the kit gives your overloaded brain a single, immediate, non-emotional task. It acts as a focus interrupt.
I know, I see.
So instead of the internal narrative being, I'm failing, everyone's judging me, this is awful. You give your system a different command. Find the texture, or smell the oil.
So it doesn't magically erase the shame.
No, not at all. But it gives you this tiny foothold.
Yeah.
Just enough to pull yourself slightly out of that emotional vortex, long enough maybe to start re-engaging those grounding techniques you practiced.
It shifts you from being passive to active.
Exactly. You go from being a victim of the emotion to someone actively executing a pre-planned strategy, even a very small one.
That makes a lot of sense. The kit as a bridge. Okay, so that handles the internal piece, but now we have to tackle the equally tough part, managing that external pressure. The sources definitely spend time on dealing with judgment from strangers.
Yes.
A huge factor. They note that the stares often make the whole experience feel unbearable. Why? Why does perceiving judgment ramp up the internal state so much? Is it just vanity or something deeper?
It's definitely not vanity. It's more like a vicious feedback loop, heavily driven by shame and our basic social wiring. When you're severely distressed, you're already hyper-aware of your own lack of control.
Right.
Right.
Painfully aware.
The stares then act like this external confirmation that you are, in fact, failing to meet social expectations. It validates the panic.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And this external proof feeds directly back into the internal state, causing an immediate spike in cortisol, those stress hormones. So the judgment isn't just annoying, it physically makes it harder to regulate internally.
It pours fuel on the fire.
Precisely. Which is exactly why the source material offers that critical mindset reminder. It's meant to be like a psychological shield.
And that is?
4 simple words. Their stares aren't your story.
Their stares aren't your story. That's powerful. Simple, but powerful. But how do we actually use that? In the heat of the moment, how do you practically separate your very real, valid emotional crisis from what feels like the overwhelming opinion of a stranger?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
Yeah,
This is where cognitive reframing comes in, and the sources give some concrete ways to practice this separation.
Okay, good.
You basically have to actively, consciously internalize the idea that these observers, they're just temporary background actors in your scene.
Background actors, extras.
Exactly, non-essential extras. They haven't read the script, they don't know the plot.
Right.
So when you feel that intense heat of someone's gaze, the strategy is to mentally remind yourself, this person does not know my history. They don't know my challenges, my strengths, my worth.
They're judging based on a tiny snapshot.
30 seconds of observation, maybe.
Yeah.
And honestly.
Yeah.
In 5 minutes, they'll probably be thinking about what kind of pasta to buy.
Huh. Probably true.
By consciously treating the observers as transient, almost irrelevant noise, you start to reclaim agency over your own narrative.
You prioritize yourself.
You prioritize the urgent task, which is internal self-regulation, over the trivial, fleeting demand of appearing normal to someone who won't remember your face tomorrow. It's about protecting your story, which is real, from their momentary judgment, which is essentially meaningless to your life.
Protecting your story from their sound effect. I like that framing. Now, it's also important to note the source material does briefly touch upon specific associated conditions. Context, really.
Right.
It mentions why this level of preparation might be especially necessary, citing the relevance for individuals dealing with challenges linked to specific profiles, mentioning the acronyms ADHD and ODD.
Yes, that's an important piece of context.
We should be clear here. For anyone unfamiliar, what do those acronyms stand for, and why does that specific context maybe necessitate a higher level of preparedness?
Good question. So ADHD is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and ODD is oppositional defiant disorder.
Okay.
Now, while people often associate these with focus issues, or maybe defiance in the case of ODD, a key symptom often overlooked, especially with ADHD, is chronic emotional dysregulation.
Okay, so difficulty managing emotions is core.
Very much so. Individuals with these profiles often experience emotions much more intensely, much faster than others, which makes managing a sudden stressful public situation exceptionally difficult.
That makes sense.
And they may also struggle with something called rejection-sensitive dysphoria, or RSD.
RSD.
Yeah, where even the perception of judgment or criticism can trigger an extreme, incredibly painful emotional reaction, far beyond what someone without it might feel.
Wow. So perceiving those stares could be exponentially more painful.
Potentially, yes. Which brings us back to the why.
So what does this context mean for you, the listener? The sources are suggesting that these coping tools, the calm kit, the grounding practice, the mantra, they shift from being maybe good advice for anyone
To becoming necessary proactive defenses for someone dealing with those specific internal regulatory challenges.
Right.
Exactly. If you know you're prone to these high-intensity emotional moments that can become visible, you probably can't rely on just figuring it out in the moment.
Spontaneous coping isn't enough.
Likely not. This context really validates the need to treat your emotional management almost like preparing for a known emergency drill. It's about being equipped for the specific struggles you know you might face.
It reframes it. It transforms what feels like an acute personal failure into a moment where actually a prepared plan is being put into action.
Precisely. It's empowering, in a way.
Okay, this has been a really crucial deep dive. We've gone from that intense stress of the public meltdown scenario.
That Walmart aisle.
Yeah, the Walmart aisle, to identifying that dual strategy. Preparedness through internal coping grounding, like the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and using that prepped calm kit.
And then the defense against the external side.
Right.
Internalizing that mantra, their stairs aren't your story.
Protecting the narrative.
Mm-hmm. And that really leads us to the final thought we want to leave you with today.
Okay.
If the most painful part, the most difficult component of getting through a public meltdown is actually the perception of judgment from others,
Yeah.
consider this.
Yeah.
The only person who actually gets to write the plot of your life is you. Every observer you encounter. They're like a sound effect. Lasts a few seconds, then gone.
Right. Transient.
So if you could truly deeply internalize your status as the sole author of your own story, regardless of the audience, how much of that immediate shame, that sharp pain, might just dissolve?
That's definitely something to think about.
Something to mull over, maybe explore further on your own.
Absolutely a powerful place to end. So take these insights, maybe think about preparing your own toolkit, and definitely remember to protect your story above all else. We'll catch you on the next deep dive.